Welcome, to the Rustybug Podcast.
All right, hello Rustenburg family and welcome to Rustybug Podcast number 4. We are very fortunate today to be chatting to Mr. Hendrik Marais, who is obviously the head of department here for the creative arts and music. You will all know him very, very well. And I'm joined by my fantastic co-host, Tapelo Pukuje.
Yes. Good morning, Lauren. Hi.
Morning. How are you today?
Good. It's so funny because people listen to podcasts during the day, at night, and here I am saying good morning. You know?
Exactly.
Anyway, hi. How are you?
Very well, thanks. I'm going to close these windows because we're picking up a lot of... All right, so Henny, can you tell us a little bit about where your passion for music started?
Well, I actually think, I can't remember at the time, then there was not music in my life. And just to make it short and sweet, I think I never stopped singing choir. From the age of 9 years old, I drove everyone off the roof with choir the whole time because that's the only thing I lived for at that stage. But it started actually with a teacher that allowed me that privilege and that I convinced to take over the school choir when I was 10 years old and prepared them for the spring concert. I think that day when you stand on stage and you work with children and you're a child yourself, that's when you realize the power of music. Not clever enough at that stage to understand the passion coming. So the passion, of course, came much later after finishing studying at my first job. After the first week of term 1, arriving there, being called in then by the board of directors saying they want me at this children's home where I've worked in, and that's a place in Tilbach, a place of safety with 980 boys and girls that was taken away from by children's court, put in a place of safety for a duration of 2 years. To make a program work that they could use as a fundraiser and also to represent the organization on an international platform. I think the freedom that came with that, the responsibility at the same time, and then of course the fact that you work so closely with 80 children for a period of 2 years where there was choir rehearsal scheduled every day from Mondays to Saturdays from 4 till 7 at night without excuse. So that's your life. Working so close with children that had very little to express, that actually came with a background where there was very, very much sadness involved, crying with children then if they don't get family that's willing to take them on holidays for December, crying with children because their letters get unanswered what they send to their parents, and then making music together and still trying to lift the spirit up. And then at the same time crying when you won international awards with a group like that. I think that is when you realize the passion of music, the power of music, and that must be life-fulfilling. And that is what I bought into at a very young age.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that one. Hey, it does. It really does changes your life.
Sorry about that. Henny, whenever your name is mentioned, I joined Rustenburg last year, and more particularly when I speak to Lauren, and Lauren tells me I come from Henny's hands, and I can see how good she is, and I just wonder, how long have you been doing teaching in music, which you spoke very dearly when you spoke about your passion for music, but the teaching, when did it start and how did you know that this is the route that you want to take,
Oh my word, I think when I must admit this, I'm really very ancient. The teaching went back to 28 years of teaching this year. I would say, if I think back 28 years, it is feeling like yesterday.
Yeah.
But teaching for 28 years, there's a much bigger game to play. I think it's such an experience of constant growth, constant development. I think constant learning from other people. And the fact that there's emotions involved. I think for me, it makes me tick. The fact that I can bring out some emotions. If I can give someone the ability to express, that is what teaching for 28 years makes worth the while. And I don't know if I must be afraid to admit that, but for me, it's very much something that I need to go to bed at night and I need to be fulfilled. I think I'm privileged to be in a career that I can get that moment. Yes, like everything else, you're not every day fulfilled with what happens around you, things that's going wrong, right? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think in general to feel I'm contributing to society, I'm contributing to the development of children, I'm contributing to the moment of expressing what you feel. That is what it is, and that is what making it worth 28 years.
Wow. 28 years ago, I was, I think, 3 years.
I was born.
That's why I refer to being ancient.
And I mean, I'm sure you know Tapelo as well, but being in the music department, we all know that Henny eats, sleeps, lives for this music department, and it can obviously be seen because I mean, I was here. Well, I first met Henny in 2005, 2006. That's where my passion for music started, and I joined the choir. And just realized, how beautiful music is, and to make music together, and all those sorts of things. And I've seen, since 2006, the progress and the development of music in this music department. And just, it's such a family here of teachers, and it's a safe space for a lot of students, and we're very aware of that. But we were still chatting the other day about if you compare prestige concerts, which is obviously, our big moments that we have happen every single year, which we've missed out on now for the last 2 years with COVID. But, we've looked at the progression of the programs for that event. And it's so interesting, because obviously, I suppose in those days you didn't have all the technological, devices and things that we have, and you didn't have all these fantastic programs to design things and stuff. But you can see how it started off from a very basic concert with a very basic program that was just like any evening that, maybe had 150 people here, to our last prestige concert, which we performed at, where, it was actually requested, can we do 2 nights, because it was sold out, amazing visuals, amazing sound, and all the things. And so what I'm trying to get at is that we've had, Henny's been here now for 16 years teaching at Rustenburg. And it's just been incredible to see how this music department has grown and the vision that it has. So Henny, it takes me to my next question. What is the rest of your vision for the future regarding music at Rustenburg?
Well, Lauren, I will be very honest with you. I feel uncomfortable using the word my vision. I don't think it's ever about my vision or what I think is right. I think if the music department must function and it's not in line with where the school is, the direction that the school will take, it will be completely wrong. On a personal point, I feel my vision is not to teach music anymore. My vision has changed towards selling music as a lifestyle. And the things that you refer, that we've experienced over the years, is just so connecting with that. Music is just not teaching one-on-one students anymore. And the only thing that we need to think about is success. I think the success is much bigger. If we can infiltrate a bigger system, if we can touch more people with music, that is where the value will lie. And then being in a school environment like Rustenburg, I personally feel very privileged to serve a 128-year tradition of excellent music tuition. That was always the given in this environment. But I think there was a time when we all had to ask these questions, why we do stuff, how we do it, and the manner in which we do it. I think you referred to that on our concert programs that have changed. The whole idea of music as a lifestyle have changed so much as we move into the 21st century and moving on and beyond that now. I think if music is not becoming a visual experience to an audience, you don't get the buy-in. I'm personally passionate about the idea a child can't climb in a car after a concert and their parents don't sing a tune that they picked up in a concert. So that is then bringing us back to that thing of program selection. And I know I talk a lot about the art of exposure, and there's a lot of people that will tell me I'm completely stupid by mentioning that. I can tell you today, the success of the department is lying in what you expose when you expose it, and that you need to have that understanding. Some things are not the right thing to expose at certain platforms. It's not at the best interest of the school to experience it there and to expose it there. But the bigger scheme is always to say the drive must be not about the individual tuition program. That is the given, that must always be at a very good level of tuition must happen in the school. The drive must be towards creating a lifestyle choice. And you've mentioned it, that I eat, sleep, and dream music. I think that is what the lifestyle is all about. It's just everything you breathe, is that. And if that is what we get with young children already, then I can see that we will have audiences in future. I've just read an article last week about how they suffer in America with bringing audiences back into the concert halls. And it's going to take forever and a day. Yeah. Sadly, that the schools are not buying into that to create that new audiences because the programs have stopped in the school. So yes, at Rustenburg, I think we need to be in line with what the school direction the school wants to take. But in person, I need to sell a lifestyle. I can't sell instrumental tuition.
Oh, wow. This reminds me of a conversation that I had once with Lauren, and she said to me that literally everyone can sing and you can teach everyone to sing. And I said, no ways, because, my voice, I don't think I've got a singing voice. And I know in the newsletter that we did last time, there was like a call out for parents and stuff to, if they sing in the shower like me, they could come join in the choir and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And also maybe let's touch on the concept or the idea or even understanding the phrase that Lauren said to me that everyone can sing.
I love that phrase. Clearly,
and maybe we can try it with me right now.
I'm so proud. I'm very proud that Lauren, I've got that one, and that she hopefully learned a bit about that from me. But yes, everyone can sing. I think that is a universal aspect. The fact that music is the universal language is one thing. I think that in the past, yes, I also come from a system where music teachers will quickly tell you you're tone deaf, for example. That's something that doesn't exist. I think it's just a shortcut to get someone cut out of a program. The art is lying to teach someone to listen carefully and then to tune themselves in. So yes, a shower singer is the most valuable person. I can tell you from a choir point of view, it is not at the best interest of a conductor to have professional singers around you in a choir. I think it is that people that's really singing in the shower to give them that moment to express themselves. The moment people express, there's that thing where they're in sync with themselves and sync with listening, and that is when you get the singer out there. Because what do we want from a singer? We want good sound quality. Mm-hmm. That's something that they can echo and mime if you provide them with the right guidance. But I also do think it's that thing where there must be such a lot of humanity involved in the process, where you need to have such a lot of respect for individuals as well. And that is really something that is asking for work every day. Because I also do get my moments where I want to throw in the towel. And especially with choir work, where I think to myself, I'm never going to get this right. But I need to think about 5 out of 124 that will get that extraordinary moment. And that's where the magic lies of music. I always said that I want to be that one that's creating a lot of extraordinary experiences in my teaching. It's not possible to do that 24 hours a day. I mean, it's just too much energy that you need to pop up for that. But I think in the course of a week, if you don't have 1 or 2 extraordinary experiences, you've really missed it. You've really missed that moment to light the candle in someone else's life as well. And music is the way, if there's no language involved, if you do not have the vocabulary, if you do not have the expression on your side, music can transfer that message, and you can bring across what you want to say with that. And I think that is something that came actually from working at the children's home as well, where children had very limited language ability, very limited ways of expressing themselves. And I had to make sure the program that I selected, if I want to win on an international stage, they had to buy into that. Not only to buy in, they had to understand it, they had to experience it, they had to feel it. That is when you make music. If you feel it and you sing, and then everyone can sing. The idea is just, are you willing to listen?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a society where we've got a problem listening.
Wow, Lauren, I think I'm going to enter Idols this year. And if I lose or if I get the wooden mic, I know where to come fetch my money.
So, Dipelo, if I can just say to you that you mentioned the word idols. I think that there's such a valuable place for competitions like that. But I also do think it's creating a bit of false illusion sometimes about the glamorous part of what the job is all about. And you know what? My biggest fear is the moment that the individual is getting bigger than music, there's a problem. And it's very short show life. What I mean with that is that you can be a hit, and you can be a hit for 2 years. That doesn't have impact on the community, doesn't have impact on society. I think it's to keep longevity and to ensure it's going to last for a lifetime.
I mean, this all ties up, especially with what we spoke about before, just chatting about singing and this choir and stuff. But Henny, you were mentioning the importance of music and arts and stuff in education, and it's very exciting that this year we have the return of the Creative Arts Conference, which is happening on the 9th and 10th of September. Can you tell us a little bit about this concept and how you came about with this idea?
Yes, I think lockdown saved me as much as a lot of people's got a lot of negative connotations towards COVID and the COVID experiences, as well as the devastating things that happen around that and the losses that happen. For me, it was a very positive moment because it really allowed me some time to start reading that I'm addicted to, but just don't get all the time to read, but so much wider and to go and experience from online perspective what's really ticking the boxes internationally. Because I think from a South African context, we feel very safe and secure with what we do. The problem is if we start comparing notes and see, there's ways, shortcuts sometimes to get to the end product. Are we aware of the shortcuts? Are we following the wrong route? Are we really trying to make it the best possible expression moment for our audiences, for our singers, for every musician in any case? Yeah. So during the COVID times, I just became very aware that in South African school context, the delivery of arts education just stopped completely. There was a lot of returning back to normal, but focusing on core subjects. That makes perfect sense because of the time that was lost during the COVID period of education or in education. But now, what are we saying if we don't actually touch the art subjects in the process? We're sending people in society that's by far not holistically developed. It's not in balance and in tune with what's going on around us. So there's a generation of people for 2 years that they went through this with no experiences and no touch by the arts that's going to become rather empty humans as we move on. Because in order to be fulfilled, you need to touch all these things around us, arts being one of that. And it's not to just excel always. I think there's so much to say about musicians that's living that life of, but it must always be just the best. And you compare a recording with a live performance. It can't replace each other. A recording is supposed to be perfect because there's editing rights, etc. That can happen. Live performance is when it's the crew, it's the real business. And that is when people start feeling together and sync. If we breathe together and we sync it all at the same time, that is where the magic lies and where you can make the mistakes. And people will forgive you for the mistakes. So in education, I think there was so much emphasis on the core subjects. But what about that child, and there's a lot of them, and specifically in South African education system, that doesn't excel in maths? I can't see how a child like that for that 2-year period could be fulfilled. I can't see what actually encouraged that child to go to school every day if there was only the focus on the core subjects. Now we can talk about modern children, modern generation people. Everyone needs to feel somewhere during the course of the day there was a moment where the content that was delivered addressed their personal needs. Young people can do it as well. They maybe can't verbalize it so much, but it needs to happen. Without the arts, I think a huge group of children was denied that opportunity. So the Creative Arts Conference was the idea then to bring that general teacher onto the platform to say there is some ways that as a generalist with no musical background, that most of the schools got generalists teaching creative arts, there must be approaches that you can follow to make this an experience and to create that extraordinary moments in the teaching. So the conference was really, that was the main purpose of starting the conference, to create that for generalist teachers, to give them the tools in their hands, to say, you know what, you can come back, you can make a difference. I think that is the one word that we lost during the COVID period, is that people didn't want to make differences anymore. It was really about survival of individuals.
Yeah, and you know, Henny, it's quite clear that you want to make a difference in the Rustenburg community because Tapelo is really keen to be part of a choir. Thankfully, though, I think
I want to be a lead.
Is it an all ladies choir? So we don't have to worry about having him singing off pitch.
Wait, do you have a lead in a choir? Do you have a lead in a choir where everyone
is going to exercise falsetto?
Anything for you, Tapelo. You can be the lead.
Or the conductor, where I'll be like,
I know. You would love to be a conductor, hey?
Yeah, but I don't know what they do. All I see is hands.
You really should do something with music, though, because you're so passionate and so excited about it.
I don't know about that, Laura. I don't know about that.
When you do look at the sheet music in the right,
the right way. Yeah, I tried that.
Tapelo came into my office the one day and he was looking at the sheet music on a music stand and he just kept turning it around and around and around. He's like, which way do you look at this thing? But I suppose it's complete, craziness if just, someone that's not a musician looks at something like that.
Well, I will tell you, that's maybe the wonderful thing of teaching environments and institutions like the Rustenburgs, because if you think by the time girls leave here at grade 7, all of them can read the basic music score.
Yeah.
That is a selling point.
Wow.
That's remarkable work that's being done.
So Henny, getting back to the singing idea, because I know Tapelo's dying to hear more about it. This wonderful, exciting venture that was mentioned in the newsletter last week. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, please?
Yes, so this started quite some time ago, I think 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, we had to prepare for a farewell of a colleague at the high school that was part of the music or head of the music department for also 28 years. Yeah, this is a number that's circling around, so I don't know if it's a sign for me, but 28 years. So what we did is at that stage, we grouped together a group of old girls. Now, old girls with lots of respect. I'm using that word, old girls, but alumni girls, that all worked with that head of music, or during that 28 years came across interaction with her. And we had on Sunday afternoons, I think for a month, we had this every Sunday afternoon a rehearsal where we studied in a program that we delivered in that evening at the farewell concert. I think there was something else that came up in my head. It was not only the quality of music, it was the way that we interact with each other, that where there was suddenly a new energy coming from girls that came from different year groups, but they all shared a common practice and a common love for music. And in that instance, it was for singing. Yes, the quality was phenomenal. And for me, that is focused a lot on working with children's choirs. I think that moment that you need to prepare for a concert and you don't need to fear the evening. Because let's just be honest, with children, you never know what to expect. So 2 minutes before you walk onto stage, you fear every minute what's going to happen on that stage, because it can turn into disaster within the blink of an eye. With adults, it's a completely different thing. It is, where's the conductor? You can be so much more relaxed because they know exactly and they can remember also what was done during rehearsal. So that makes it a bit more comfortable to conduct. But then there was the experience of being together. There was experience of almost music becoming a therapy. I think, yes, there's a lot of pressure on a conductor with that instance because it's becoming a therapy session for people that's attending that. And why do I say that? Everyone that was in that group, and that is going to be in the new group as well, will be people that's coming after a day's work where they had to deal with a lot of difficulties, sometimes ups, sometimes downs. Then they get to their houses where there's also a lot of responsibility, a lot of things to deal with. So by the time they get to a choir, I do think it's time to change not only the energy, but also to change the way in which you do stuff. So for me, adult choir, and in this instance, alumni girls as well as Rustenburg parents, I hope it's going to become a fun-filled therapy session.
I think you're forgetting staff, Annie. Let's not forget Rustenburg staff as well.
Rustenburg staff as well. I hope to see that they will actually sign up for that. But yes, it is really to give people that magical experience to say, you know what, it doesn't matter where we are, whether you're a medical doctor, whether you're an attorney, because that is the careers that we refer to now of people joining a group like that. But it's that communal feeling of we are here to experience something. Unfortunately, the pressure is there that it needs to be fun-filled. So fun-filled as program selection as well. If I just do music that I think is what I like, it's definitely not going to sell a choir. It's not going to sell audience and bring audience on board as well. But for me, it is really that magic when everyone, and I can refer to it from a conductor's point of view, in your hand. If your hand drops, whether it's a millimeter down or up, something in the sound must happen. If you get adults and they're so in sync with each other that if your hand is making a slight direction, and Tapelo showed earlier on with his hands fluffing around like a conductor, now that is how it looks from the side of an audience. I can tell you everything of a conductor's hands got some meaning to it.
Oh, wow.
And that is where that magic is lying. The fact that people in the middle of your hand, everything is controlled there. But if everyone's heartbeat is at the same time, if we all breathe at the same time, there's something happening with magic at the end, where we feel a sense of belonging. And it doesn't matter who we are, I think everyone needs a sense of belonging. And sometimes we need to put these things in place to create that moment. We think we belong, but actually we're part of such a huge machine as to just individualize it and personalize it. And that is what the choir is giving it for. Well, you can make the mistakes. No one is going to be upset with you. I think that's the part of learning. Make the mistakes, but it's just to get a group of people in sync to breathe at the same time, heartbeat at the same time. Then there's magic. We can't deny that.
Yo, I think we need to come back to the conversation and the topic around creative arts specifically, you know. But Lauren, I want you to answer this. To ask this next question. I think it's more fitting for you to place it to Henny. because you've known him way longer than I have. And I think this question would be very suited for you to ask Henny. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes.
We actually chat about this quite often. We do.
So you know the answer?
Yeah. Well,
but I don't know the answer.
I think Henny's answer is always he's worried about what what it's going to be that he leaves behind. But I think then he forgets about all the people that are in front of him.
Yeah.
That are part of that legacy. And so yes. Henny, can you tell us what legacy do you want to leave behind when you leave Rustenburg one day?
Yeah, I hate that. Sorry, I just don't like it.
One day.
I know. It's much bigger than that. I don't think it's my job to consider leaving a legacy behind. I think what I do is not as big and as important. I think there's really people in this world that deserve to leave legacies behind. Yeah. I don't want to be that one that's branded for leaving legacy behind. I don't think it's my place to do it in either. In any case, I think for me it is to know, to be for sure, one day when I'm not around anymore, that there was the ability where I've touched someone's heart. I can't see myself functioning if I don't touch people's hearts. So I would hope that in the process of being 28 years and teaching, I've touched a few people's hearts. I've made a difference in the life of a few.
Absolutely.
And that's no legacy. That's just lifestyle.
The list goes on and on and on.
Wow. Yeah. I really love that answer, because in a short period that I've known Henny, really, personally for me, you've really touched my heart. You've already done that, I came in here. I remember coming through, and Pam Heiberg was showing me the place and taking me through a tour, and I'm meeting different people. And I mean, when I met Henny, we didn't have much conversation at that time, but I could feel the energy in that space, and I could feel something moving in me. And thank you for that. And I think
I must say to you, that's something that makes me very humble.
Yeah.
I would like to be remembered as that. I don't think it's necessary to be in someone's face. I also don't feel the need always to be the last voice. I think it's to get the buy-in of people around you. That is when you succeed. If you can take the majority with you on this tour of adventure, of expression. That is what I would like to see behind.
That is incredible. Henny, thank you so much for chatting with us today and for sharing your amazing passion and vision and dream, even though you don't like the word vision. You do have a vision. Passion, vision and dream. For just sharing, your story, but also about your experience at Rustenburg, your experience outside of Rustenburg, your future exciting ventures and everything that you have to bring to the table. It's really wonderful, and I think Tapelo can agree with me that we are very fortunate to have people like you at the school. So please feel free to stay on for another 28 years.
Thank you very much. I don't know if that's the right thing to do.
Wamkele for sure.